The program continues shortly with another topic. Please stay with us.
Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics.
It's time for your top stories, and we keep you in the loop in your interesting world of politics. When it's noon every weekday, you know we got you on those stories that matter. And the ones you need to know. Lunchtime Politics, 12 p.m. weekdays, only on Channels Television. You open your eyes, look around, impressed or unimpressed by what you see. Be the game changer. Take aim, shoot your shot. Upload to our eyewitness portal on the Channels TV app, and we'll give it the mileage. That's news of the people, as captured and told by the people.
Last year, this water, I fell with my daughter. We fell inside this water. And I'm telling you, the experience was not palatable.
I can tell you confidently that there's big hope for Nigeria.
Eyewitness Report. Your story is just a click away.
I'm not a fashioner publicity secretary of this great party. I am the state publicity secretary of APC. We don't have any fashion in APC. That might surprise some of you to hear. Those who left this party left to form EPM. And EPM, to date, remains an unregistered political association or social association that has no bearing whatsoever with APC. Although some of our national leaders, including our national chairman, is flirting with some of the members, it has nothing to do with us. We remain a formidable party. We are very much intact, and we intend to continue to deliver the goods.
Mr. Mojezwa was legally and constitutionally removed as chairman of APC in November 2019. Members of the State Working Committee got the required number of signatures, passed a vote of no confidence on him, and removed him as chairman. That resolution, that motion was subsequently ratified by the National Working Committee, which effectively put a legal and final seal on his tenure as state chairman. For Osagere to say that he is the only recognized state publicity secretary, I would not take issues up personally with him. But the office of state publicity secretary comes by an electoral mandate, and I was brought into office by an electoral mandate through a state congress.
Welcome back. Well, the tussle in Edo politics continue with that recent ruling by the court that, well, they can't conduct by-elections in those, for those constituencies that the seats of those members-elect have been declared vacant. So what does that mean at the moment? Well, let's get over to Emwata Adaze, who is a legal practitioner and lecturer in the Faculty of Law, University of Calabar. He joins us via Skype from Benin. Good morning. Thank you for joining us today on the program. Now, what is your impression about the implication of that court ruling?
The truth is, there was no court ruling at all. I was in court yesterday, High Court number 4, the court that is presided over by Honorable Justice Ahmed Mohamed. What actually transpired on Tuesday this week was that the court said, since INEC claimed it was not opposed to that request for injunction, that INEC cannot just say that, but they should file an affidavit to that effect. And of course, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, who is the first defendant, was not in court. The court ordered hearing notice to be issued on the Speaker and adjourned the matter to the 28th of January. So these merchants of fake news that have been peddling that story that there's a court order have even failed to show us a copy of that order. As it is characteristic of them, if there was a court order, they would have published it, as they usually do. So it's quite unfortunate that people would do that just to create an impression that INEC has been restrained. And I think by now, INEC will be very surprised to know that they have been restrained by this mystery court order. The matter was adjourned to the 28th of January, And I believe that day, of course, the Speaker of the House of Assembly will file his counter affidavit. Because as far as we know, those seats remain vacant because the constitutional requirements for the declaration of those seats were met. Section 109 is quite clear on the procedure. These people have not been in the House for close to 7 months now, and the requirement has been satisfied. It is not the duty of INEC to declare those seats vacant. It is the duty of INEC to conduct elections. So this idea of running to court to prevent INEC is like medicine after death. And I know the courts will ensure that these elections are conducted, you know.
Just to be clear, Mr. Adeze, where do we stand right now? Are you saying that the by-elections will go on as scheduled by INEC? I mean, we need to understand where do we stand right now. If you say there's been no court ruling whatsoever, so what is the situation of things right now?
And INEC is in court, much as the 14 former members have gone to court to prevent INEC. But I know at the end of the day, the right thing will be done. And of course, these elections will be conducted to fill those 14 vacant seats. They are just trying to delay the process of the election, but it's just a temporal one, because at the end of the day, the courts, because there's an existing judgment of the Federal High Court, which is to the effect that the House was duly inaugurated by a proclamation issued by the governor. And these 14 lawmakers who have been in Abuja doing nothing, adding weight, whose seats are vacant, elections will be conducted because government is a continuum. They cannot hold those constituencies to ransom. And that is the position of the law, because those seats are vacant, and I believe INEC will conduct elections to fill.
All right, Mr. Adeze, we do have some other interested parties, but we'll bring them on after the break. Join us again. All right, welcome back. Well, Mr. Adeze did say that there is no such thing as any court ruling. It's tantamount to him saying it's fake news. Well, we do have Mr. Washington in Abuja. So, Mark, well, maybe we should put to him, is he the one spreading, or is it his group spreading this, as Mr. Adeze described it, fake news? Is there any court ruling?
You've already posed the question, Chamberlain. Well, we have with us Mr. Washington Osifo, member-elect Edo State House of Assembly. Well, I have to say Honorable Washington Osifo. Welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Mark and Chamberlain. How are you?
Do you want to quickly answer the question that Chamberlain has posed?
Oh, sure.
Because you heard the lecturer saying, no, there was no court ruling yesterday. This is fake news.
Except you want to rephrase it. Otherwise, I can answer the question. Yes, there was a ruling. And I'm happy my brother at the other end, he said that he was in Court 4 yesterday. That is not even the issue, because he knows there was a ruling. But I think he chooses to interpret it the way he suits him. I listened to him very carefully. What he said, yes, half truth, but majorly false. The matter came up. It was by way of an ex parte motion to, in the Federal High Court. The matter before his lordship was whether or not Frank Okiye, the purported speaker, had the powers to declare the seat vacant, premised upon the fact that there was a pending matter challenging the inauguration of the House, also challenging the election of Okiye as speaker. Now, when there are matters in court, parties are advised not to take any steps that will render, in anticipation of the judgment of the court, that will render the judgment of the court nugatory. That being the case, it was re-emphasized even on Tuesday here in Abuja, when the INEC lawyer came and told the court that they were not opposed. He said the commission, that was the position of the commission, that they were not opposed to the application, our application before the court, which is to restrain INEC and not Okiye. Where my brother, the constitutional lawyer, acclaimed constitutional lawyer, doesn't know the difference between being who to restrain. Because I listened to him. He said they cannot restrain Okiye. Nobody is restraining Okiye, he must know. And Okiye couldn't have been restrained because he has taken an action. And an action that has already been completed cannot be restrained. But there is an action that has not been taken. And that action derives from the pronouncement of Okiye declaring the seat vacant and directing INEC to take steps to conduct fresh election, assuming there's vacancy, to fill the vacancies. And we are saying that there is no vacancy in the first instance. You didn't have the powers to declare the seats vacant because your own seat is being challenged, and you are a party to that suit. Therefore, INEC cannot validly rely on your invalid directive to conduct an election. And we challenge that. We are challenging that in court. And in the wisdom of his lordship, listening to the INEC chairman, INEC lawyer, representing the commission and telling the court that this is the position of the commission, that we are not opposed to the prayers we are asking for. Therefore, it is fact in law that oral evidence, by way of oral submission, you can come. But what his lordship said, that in line with Order 26 Rule 11, 12, and 13 of the Federal High Court, Civil Procedure Rules, it is required, notwithstanding your oral submission, it is required that you come by way of an affidavit in support. And in the words of the judge, he said, even if it is 2 lines or 2 paragraphs, just let us know. However, you are by this oral statement, oral evidence, restrained, is there, restrained, you and your commission restrained not to take any steps while this matter is in court. Now the question is...
Mr. Osifo, just a minute, Mr. Osifo, my apologies, but, you know, there are many who have been wondering as well. Look, this matter, there's also PDP involved in the politicking in the state, aren't they? So we need to find out from them what they think of the developments at the moment. Mr. Chris Nahikare joins us on the line from Benin. He's the publicity secretary of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State. Mr. Nahikare, good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, many wonder why your party has been silent ever since. Now, could you turn down the volume of your set? It's howling back at us. Now, what is your party's position, given all that is playing out within the APC at the moment?
We've not been quiet. Our party has been doing everything to make sure that the right thing is done. We have visited and talked to lawyers on this issue, and we have discovered that the two major actors, the Oshomole faction and the governor's faction of APC in this matter, have now taken the state for granted, and they believe that they are above the law. Even after being elected to represent people, their members-elect abdicated for their duties. We are now asking the courts to declare a doctrine of necessity for our members who were the runner-up in the election to be declared winner. This is with respect to the fact that the members of the APC that were elected have abdicated their office. We are asking INEC to withdraw the certificate of returns of these members-elect who technically are no longer members-elect because the Speaker have declared their seats vacant in exercise of the powers vested in him under the Constitution of 1999 of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So PDP we've done a lot to make sure that the people who are supposed to be represented in these constituencies are actually not cheated. They have to be represented. Elections have been held. There was a winner who has refused to go to work. And we believe the person and the people that were second should now get to return and go and represent these people.
Now, Mr. Nahikare, you know, there's this analogy that says the enemy of your enemy is perhaps your friend. So are you saying you're aligning, you know, with the Speaker of the State Assembly and his faction? Is that what you're saying? You're aligning with their view?
No.
So if you say that you want those seats to be declared vacant, that's also what they are asking for. So doesn't that mean you're aligning with them?
We declared vacant. Hello?
Hey, you go ahead, please.
Yeah, the seats have been declared vacant. What we are saying that since the seats have been declared vacant, there is no need for the states to waste their resources organizing another election and have a political party that has shown so much disrespect, so much impunity to the people of those states to participate in in another election. What we are saying is that the doctrine of a necessity must come up immediately, whereby those that were second should be sworn into the House to represent the constituencies that have been neglected by people that were supposed to be there. And like I said, the Speaker already declared seats vacant. So right now, there are no members elect. There are no members elect. Either you're a member of the House of Assembly or you're not. So the seats are declared vacant because they were absent.
Okay, Mr. Nehikare, this prayer of yours, have you factored in the fact that the very case that you are bringing up now is already being challenged in courts? In that light, do you think your campaign for or call for doctrine of necessity to be activated, is it still on course given that this same case is in court?
You see, that is the irony of it all. They've taken matters to court, tied up the old system, tried to disable the House of Assembly, not representing the constituencies. Lots of people are missing out in their representation. Now, the country has to take a position immediately so that the political double jeopardy is not brought up. A decision has to be taken by all Nigerians so that we do not have a situation where someone is elected, but a political party is elected into office, but out of arrogance and impunity, they refuse to do the job for which they were elected. We shouldn't wait for them and say, let them settle their matter. No, it's no longer an in-house matter. It's a matter that concerns all Nigerians, all members, all people of Edo State. We have to teach irresponsible people a lesson that when you do things with impunity, there's a consequence. And that is what is very important.
Mr. Nehikare, you know, there are those who believe that some of the examples you cited to justify your point, which was the doctrine of necessity during the time of President Yar'Adua and Jonathan subsequently, they say in this particular case, it doesn't suffice because they wonder what specific laws will INEC rely on to carry out your prayer.
I'll define doctrine of necessity for you. The doctrine of necessity is the basis on which extra-legal actions by state actors, which are designed to restore order, are found to be constitutional. That is, you see, the Constitution did not envisage that someone or a group of people win an election and refuse to show up to their work. Now, so you have to take this extra-legal action to be able to put people in order. In fact, it also includes the ability of a private person to violate the law without punishment, where the violation of the law was necessary to prevent even worse harm. And we cannot be saying there's no law. Of course there's no law. There's no way it was envisaged that you win an election and not show up to take a position.
So if INEC don't do that, are you going to go to court, if you haven't already, to ensure that they do that?
We are in court already, yes.
All right.
We are in court because we have to actually, Nigerians have to wake up to their responsibilities. INEC knows it needs to do the right thing, and so that has to be done immediately.
All right, Mr. Chris Nehikare, thank you for your thoughts this morning. Well, Mr. Daze, and Mr. Sifo, both of you have heard it. But Mr. Daze, on the point, Mr. Sifo has just told you that, well, you were actually in court, and you were the one trying to misrepresent what played out in the courts before you eventually respond to that of the PDP. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chairman. I think it's funny that Washington Osifo, who is a lawyer, sits before Nigerians to make a very false remark. You know, for me, on the 28th of January, it's just some few weeks away, and the truth will come because for what he has said, that is contempt of courts. He's actually one of the plaintiffs. For him to sit there to say there was a ruling, when in fact there was no ruling, can the court just give an order on an action that has not been decided? He didn't say that the court granted any order. He said the court restrained INEC. Restraining orders are not made orally. There must be an enrollment of order. So for him to make that statement, which was published, we now know the source of this false news. And I think at the appropriate time, Forms 48 and 49 will be filed for contempt of court. Because for you, as a lawyer, to come out on national TV to make a very false remark that a ruling of a court was given, when in fact the court said INEC should file an affidavit. The next thing was the court also said hearing notice should be issued on the Speaker, the House of Assembly, as a defendant. That was what the position of the court. And the matter was adjourned to 2028 for hearing of that motion for an injunction. So at times, when you see people like Washington make such remarks, you wonder if they have fear of God or they have conscience. This same Washington Osifo has been at...
Could you quickly respond to what Mr. Chris Naikare says before we go back to Abuja, that INEC should rely on the doctrine of necessity and hand over certificates of return to the second runner-ups?
I think it's wishful thinking for PDP that they want win elections to now imagine that those 14 seats will come to them on the platter of gold. The doctrine of necessity, yes, was applied by the Federal High Court when it said the proclamation issued by the governor for the inauguration of the House was valid. Because if a House, having elected its leadership, has been sitting for a long period of time and you have members that have refused to come, but they choose to go to the National Assembly to interpret the law, and it is not the duty of the National Assembly, but the duty of the court to interpret the provisions of Section 105. So the court actually applied that doctrine in declaring the House as validly inaugurated. And when the requirements were met for those seats to be declared vacant, still applied the doctrine of necessity, the Speaker declared those seats vacant. So I don't think the PDP's claim that certificate of return should be issued and given to them has any place in our law. It's just wishful thinking. I think PDP should be ready for the elections in 2023 because those seats that have been declared vacant are for by-elections. And I think the PDP, if they are ready, should be thinking of by-elections because those seats will be occupied by the APC when the time comes.
All right, then. Markwe?
Oh, yes, I'm sure Mr. Osifo would like to respond quickly to that.
Yeah, at least for once, although it's a script that is playing out, because we said it long before now, that in an attempt to declare the seat vacant and allow their partners, you know, which is the PDP, to have the benefit of what will happen eventually, we said it. That they were the ones who, or having had meetings with PDP, asked them to originate a petition to the purported Speaker with a view to requesting that the seats be declared vacant. The Speaker acted on the request of the PDP. So, although he's coming out today to say, well, they cannot reap from it, they have to do it. I'm sure this is a point of discussion where I'm sure PDP sitting back will say, wait a minute, what is this guy talking about? But I wouldn't also blame him because I sat here and I said, when you offer yourself, you know, to play game, to be part of a system that you know nothing about, because you have been hired to do so, then I termed it a meddlesome interloper. So when he says what he says, to say that the seat has been declared vacant, in a manner that he magisterially is saying it, then the question is, I want to ask, what is his interest? Is he going to now occupy the seats, or himself and 13 others, to occupy the seats that he's saying has been declared vacant? For me, when the Nigerian law...
You mean the Speaker, the purported Speaker?
Yeah, when I say the purported Speaker, he remains, to us, the 14 of us, he remains the purported Speaker because we are challenging the legality or otherwise of his election. We are challenging the legality or otherwise of the nocturnal inauguration. Therefore, I cannot confer on him.
The matter is still in court.
Oh, obviously, the matter was in court, is still in court when he took steps to declare the seat vacant. Let me tell you, in the language of the Constitution, he said the Speaker cannot validly declare the seat vacant, but to declare it vacant, you must show just cause. And the question I've always asked as a lawyer, what cause can be more just than being in court, parties being in court, to challenge the illegality of an action? No, there is no action that can be more just, because when there are issues between two parties, the next arm of government to go to is the judiciary. And we are in court asking the judiciary to interpret our actions, whether or not the nocturnal, what is today known as nocturnal inauguration, and elucidated by the Supreme Court, is that, look, you interpret to us, Mr. Judge, whether or not an action that was taken at night is valid. Interpret to us whether on unlawful exclusion of the 14 of us who were supposed, having been duly elected and certificate of return issued to us by INEC, whether we must be or should be prevented from enjoying the process of the election we contested and validly won. Whether or not, having excluded us, whether a minority can proceed to elect a speaker over majority. These issues are before the court. And it was filed far back in June. Now, sometime in December 4th, when there are parties to the issues in court in Benin, they took steps to invalidate what will be the final process or whatever recommendation or judgment of the court. And I am saying, and the law is saying, it is wrong. And that was what Justice Mohammed here in Abuja also said, that so long as the matter is before the court, you, the lawyer representing INEC, you have restrained yourself and your commission. It is in the records of the court. So when he sits and he says, you have to, this is contempt of court, maybe the reason why we are having every day, I pity our country. Because when I see the law school and I see the degree of failure, and I begin to wonder.
No, I will not let you get personal. What I want you to help our viewers understand is, you know, whether or not you agree with the purported speaker, does a speaker of a State House of Assembly have the powers to declare seats vacant?
Okay, then let me take you through these lessons. Now, the Speaker of the House of Assembly cannot and does not have the powers to declare seats vacant. And I will tell you, it is not me that is saying it. This is the position of the law. Fortunately.
Speakers of State House of Assembly?
Yeah, excuse me. I want to educate you.
Or at the national level?
Speakers of State House of Assembly. I will tell you, there are situations that will arise that you will declare the seats vacant, okay? But in this case, if the law has been tested up to the Supreme Court and the 7 justices of the Supreme Court agreed that the Speaker of the State House of Assembly cannot validly declare seats vacant, that at best, what he can say is to show cause that the members elect, or the members of the honorable members have not been able to satisfy the number of days required. At best, by law, the right to declare seats vacant are reserved in the State High Court.
Let's get to Mr. Nahikare just for his quick response to some of what Mr. Osifo did say, alleging that the PDP is in cahoots with the APC, perhaps the Speaker, such that this is a script being played out. Mr. Nahikare, are you there? Is this true?
Yes.
The Speaker and the APC?
I heard Barrister Washington Osifo speak a few minutes ago. Well, like you say in Benin, a cockroach is not innocent in the midst of chickens. The people of the constituencies which they were abandoned wrote a petition, or may have written a petition to the Speaker that they are not getting the benefits of their representatives. And I think if that has triggered the Speaker declaring their seats vacant, I think the Speaker has walked in the right direction and did the right thing. What we bother about here is that we want a House of Assembly that is properly represented. We do not want the internal affairs of APC to determine how Edo State is run or how the people of Edo State get the benefits and the dividends of democracy. Democracy should not have halfway houses. It should be done completely and fully whenever it's being practiced.
All right, Mr. Nahikare. Thank you for your thoughts there. But Mr. Daze, you heard Mr. Osifo as well, vehemently disagreeing. So what's the next step for you now and for the party, perhaps?
Yeah, thank you so much, Chamberlain. I think the way forward is for INEC, when this, distraction of a court action by these former lawmakers is over, and I believe once the court refuses their application for injunction, INEC will go ahead to fill those 14 seats. And as it stands, APC is the party to beat in Edo State, a united party, people-oriented party, and I assure you those 14 seats will be occupied by the APC when we have elections. But of course, these 14 lawmakers have vacated their duties. Of course, will not...
We hear you. We need to wrap up. We appreciate your thoughts this morning. Martin Adaze is a legal practitioner and a lecturer in Faculty of Law, University of Calabar. Markwe?
Is this battle worth it? Because they have a point. You have not been in the House since it was inaugurated. Is this battle worth it, considering the fact that you have left your people for this long?
Yeah, I think the point is, the problem with us as Nigerians is that we like quick fixes. And that is why our problems will continue to remain with us. Now, for instance, why should you think that we, as responsible elected members of the House, should submit ourselves to nocturnal inauguration that is illegal? Illegality begets illegality. They have elected us to join our colleagues to promulgate good laws for the good governance of Edo State. Why should we start on the wrong note and expect us to come out with a good outcome? Now, for
this is about ego, power,
no. It is not about ego. It is not about power. It is about constitutionality and the rule of law. And that is where it should be. For instance, will it not be better for us to put things in proper perspective that the future of Edo and Nigerians, learning from what is happening today in the legal jurisprudence, is better for us? Which one is better? To just go there, receive salary, pretend as what is happening in other jurisdiction of the states now that they are representing, that is not happening in the world where I come from, which is the poorest location. Nothing is happening. What are they doing apart from receiving salary? My aim and the aim of the 13 of us is not just to receive salary. It is to do things differently, to put the governance in the right direction in respect to and obedience to the rule of law.
Well, we have to.
And for them, it's
we have to go now. We have to go.
Wishful thinking.
Thank you for coming on Sunrise Daily. Washington Usifo is a member-elect of the Edo State House of Assembly. Well, that's what we leave it on Sunrise Daily this morning. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Well, I guess the beat goes on then with all of this playing itself out. Thank you for watching as well. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
I'm Kaido Kikiolu.
And I'm Ayo Makine. Have a wonderful day.